welcome back. This is 1D Historian, and today we are talking about a very notorious ship. Now, before we begin, I want to give my usual disclaimer that I do not know Harry, nor do I know Taylor personally, and thus all of the information in this video is going to be what we as the fandom knew publicly, and all the information that was made available to us. And the same rule goes for this video as went for my Larry video. This video is not intended to prove or disprove any theories or conspiracies around this topic. So let's get started. In March of 2012, as their budding career was just getting started, One Direction performed What Makes You Beautiful live at the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards. And during the performance, both Taylor Swift and Selena Gomez were shown on TV dancing to the tune not once, but twice. By their own admission and by the gossip of Selena's then-boyfriend Justin Bieber, the two were huge One Direction fans. After the show, Taylor and the boys met backstage, and according to a source that might have actually been Justin Bieber himself, Taylor and Harry allegedly exchanged phone numbers. At the same time, Harry began to follow Taylor on Twitter. Does it seem a little early in the story for a meltdown? Yes. But also, did a meltdown happen this early in the story? Very much so. Try to imagine for a minute the total and complete eruption that occurred in both Taylor's fandom and ours over the mere suggestion that Taylor might be interested in Harry. Why? Let me set a tone of misogyny for you. By 2012, Taylor Swift had amassed a huge fandom that was incredibly dedicated and loyal to her. But outside of that fandom, she sort of had this reputation of being... Taylor didn't actually start achieving the wider mainstream acclaim that she enjoys today until her fourth studio album, Red, when she started building a reputation of being a legitimate musician. Prior to that, Taylor was perceived by a ton of grown adults in the industry as being a whiny, teeny bopper little girl who couldn't hold a boyfriend, or worse, who went through men in the industry like tissues so that she could just write songs and get more famous. That perception was absolutely steeped in misogyny and slut-shaming, and I want to make that as clear as possible. And our fandom has always, and even now, struggles with a lot of internalized misogyny. So when the news broke that Taylor liked Harry and might have had his phone number, the fans... Our protectiveness instinct was immediately triggered at the idea that Taylor might get her clutches into our darling precious baby Harry. But the thing is, as defensive and protective of the boys as Directioners have always been, Swifties have always been just as protective and defensive of Taylor. Directioners started saying that Taylor was nothing but a heartbreaking slut who wanted to ruin Harry's career, while Swifties started saying that Taylor would never want her ugly, greasy little mop-headed boy who was a child 5 years younger than Taylor. And anyway, Harry was just using Taylor to get his own band more famous, since Swifties were basically One Direction's target demographic, and Taylor was more famous than they were in America. It got ugly. Meanwhile, it was reported throughout April over and over and over again that Taylor and Harry and the rest of One Direction kept being spotted in the same place at the same time, whether at Justin Bieber's mansion for a pool party or in New York City for Saturday Night Live. Swifties and Directioners were absolutely sick of seeing all of these reports because it felt a lot like the media was trying to convince us that Haylor was a thing, and nobody wanted Haylor to be a thing. And then One Direction went to Australia, and the paparazzi got photos of Harry kissing actress Emily Osterley. Directioners were so relieved when these Emily Osterley pictures hit because it meant that clearly there had never been anything going on between Haylor. But Swifties came to a very different conclusion after Taylor posted a picture on Instagram that seemed to imply she had been cheated on. So either, according to Directioners, Haylor had never happened, or according to Swifties, Harry was a cheating piece of trash and Haylor was now over. But either way, both fandoms breathed a sigh of relief because we would never have to hear about Haylor again. Right? Please tell me we would never have to deal with this ever again. Fast forward to the end of the summer. It's important to note that at this time, Taylor and Harry had a common celebrity friend in Ed Sheeran, and during the fall, the pair were spotted as part of Ed's entourage when Ed was out having dinner. And then throughout October, interviewers started bringing up Taylor in One Direction interviews again, and neither Swifties nor Directioners were happy with these events again. We were sick of the media trying to push this Haylor is a thing onto us, because Swifties hated Harry, and Directioners hated Taylor, and it was just a constant war on social media. Every single day, Haylor would trend on Twitter, but it wasn't trending because anyone was happy about it. If you clicked the Haylor trend, you would just be met with a wall of hate tweets. You said it, Halsey. Then In November, instant pandemonium. When the I Knew You Were Trouble music video was released, there was an immediate understanding that this song was about Harry. And the biggest proof? The tattoo that this actor got. The actor had gotten the word love tattooed on his clavicle, and only a few months earlier, Harry had gotten a very similar tattoo done in a very similar place. And meanwhile, in the midst of the brand new fan battle that erupted because of the music video, just a few days after its release, and one day before One Direction was set to play Madison Square Garden, Taylor and Harry were photographed walking around New York City together as part of a wider group of friends. And they were photographed together at dinner that night. And then they were spotted at the One Direction MSG after party together. And then Harry was photographed going in and out of Taylor's hotel. And then they were spotted hopping a private jet and flying together to the UK where they spent Taylor's birthday. And then a few days later, on December 19th, the official One Direction Twitter account tweeted a tweet in defense of Taylor when a fan had tweeted hate about her. Speculation went rampant that Harry was the one who had tweeted this out from the One Direction account, but we'll never know for sure because it was never confirmed. Now, I do want to point out that very curiously, there was quite a different reaction to Harry's tweet in defense of Taylor than there was to Louis' Larry is bullshit tweet a couple months earlier. When the Larry is the biggest load of bullshit I ever heard tweet went out, fans scrambled for the most part to hide the fact that they were ever participating in any of the Larry stuff. But when this tweet came out, no one really stopped the hate. In fact, the hate doubled. And Swifties also didn't appreciate this tweet, telling Harry to mind his own business and that they could handle things. And if Harry really wanted to help, he would leave Taylor alone. But the two continued on undaunted. And then on New Year's Eve, Harry went to Times Square where Taylor was performing, and the two were photographed sharing the New Year's kiss. Before jetting off to the Virgin Islands on a romantic getaway. Short romantic getaway. Just a few days later, reports hit the internet from other guests at the resort that Taylor and Harry were staying at that said that Harry and Taylor had had a huge, loud fight. And then just a few hours later, we got this now famous paparazzi photo. I can't even talk about this photo. Twitter went bananas. Why was Taylor leaving their vacation early? Why was she leaving by herself? Why did she look like that? What was happening? Swifties and Directioners alike prayed that this was the end, that a split was final, and that Haylor would be no more. And hours later, Taylor tweeted out a line of the song that everyone assumed was about Harry, and it seemed to really confirm that Haylor was over. Okay, now this is where I'm ending this video. There's a whole lot more in theories and rumors and whatnot that maybe kind of sort of potentially possibly might have happened in 2013, 2014 and onward. But I'm only covering facts on this channel as much as possible. And in factual fandom history, Haylor was officially over at this point. That's it. The end.